Okay, so you've probably used an AI chatbot, right? And you might have noticed they're always so helpful and, well, nice. But have you ever stopped to think about how weird that is? I mean, these things are trained on the entire internet. The good, the bad, the absolutely unhinged. So how did they end up so polite?
No, seriously, think about it for a second. If you just mainline the entire internet, all of Reddit, every single toxic comment section, all the flame wars into a machine brain, you should get a total chaos goblin on the other side, right? But that's not what we have. And the real reason why is way more fascinating than you think.
So the common myth is that the AI just kind of absorbed the good vibes from the internet and figured out how to be nice on its own. The reality? Oh, not even close. It was actually put through an intense, multi-stage training boot camp specifically designed to teach it how to behave. To get what this boot camp is all about, we have to go back to the beginning. We need to meet the AI in its raw, unfiltered state. Before it becomes a helpful assistant, it's just a pure probability machine. No filter, no vibes, just math. This first stage is called pre-training. And what that means is the model just devours literally terabytes of text from the internet. But it's not trying to understand it like a human. Its goal is way simpler, but also kind of mind-blowing. It's just trying to get insanely good at predicting the next word in a sentence.
And this quote right here just nails it. A raw, pre-trained model, it's not answering your question, it's just continuing your text. Think of it like the world's most powerful autocomplete. You start a sentence, and it just finishes it in the most statistically likely way it can think of. And yeah, as you can probably guess, this leads to a ton of issues. This raw brain can totally ignore what you actually asked for, pump out answers that are just random or make no sense, and it'll just parrot back all the biases it found in its data. And yeah, it can definitely generate some really unsafe stuff. Why? Because its only goal is to predict the next word, not to be helpful or truthful or safe.
So how in the world do you fix a brain like that? Well, this is where the magic happens. It's time for what we call the alignment glow-up. We're about to spill all the tea on this process called RLHF. That's reinforcement learning from human feedback. This right here is the real pipeline. After that initial pre-training, the model goes through 3 more massive stages. First, it learns some basic manners. Then it learns what we humans actually like to see in an answer. And finally, it just practices over and over and over again to get really good at it. Let's break that down. First up is a step a lot of people skip over: supervised fine-tuning. You can think of this as AI finishing school. You have actual humans writing out these perfect prompt and answer pairs. It's like a high-quality cheat sheet to teach the AI the basics of here's how you follow an instruction, and here's what a good answer actually looks like. Okay, now we get to the really clever part: reward modeling. For any given prompt, researchers get the AI to generate a whole bunch of different answers. Maybe 4, 5, 6 different versions. Then, and this is the key, humans come in and rank those responses from best to worst. This one's great, this one's okay, this one's terrible. They do this thousands of times, creating this huge data set of human preferences. But here's the twist. They don't use this data to train the main AI. Nope, they use it to train a separate AI, a reward model, and its only job is to get good at predicting how much a human would like any given answer. It's an AI that literally learns to have good taste. And this right here is the big conceptual leap. By ranking things, you turn something totally subjective, like politeness or helpfulness, into a number, into a score. It's not just good or bad anymore. Politeness becomes a gradient that the AI can actually measure and aim for. And that brings us to the final step: reinforcement learning. The best way to think about this is like a game. You've got the main AI, the policy model, which writes an answer. Then you have the reward model, which acts like a judge and gives that answer a score. The main AI's goal? It's simple. Just keep trying, tweaking its answers millions and millions of times to get the highest possible score from the judge. It's practicing to get a digital high five. So, after all of that, this crazy, intense, multi-stage boot camp, did it actually work? Let's check the report card. Yeah, the data is pretty dang clear. I mean, just look at this comparison. In one study, this whole process slashed the amount of toxic stuff the model generated by a whopping 48%. That's huge. It fundamentally changes the model's behavior, steering it away from its chaotic internet roots. Okay, but this is the stat that just blows my mind. Get this, human testers preferred the answers from a pretty small 1.3 billion parameter model that had gone through alignment over a monster 175 billion parameter raw model. Let that sink in. Behavior training can be more important than just raw size. But it's not a perfect system. Of course not. The biases of the human raters, yeah, those can get baked right into the model. And sometimes the reward model can get the wrong idea about what we really want. There's this constant, tricky balancing act between making an AI that's helpful and making one that's harmless, because sometimes those two things actually conflict. And navigating that balance really points to the real revolution that's happening in AI right now. It's not just about making models bigger and smarter. The single biggest idea to take away from all of this is simple. Intelligence is not the same thing as alignment. A system can be brilliant, it can write poetry and code, but without alignment, it has no built-in reason to be helpful or safe. They are two totally separate problems. Let me put it another way. Pre-training on the internet creates raw capability, the ability to understand language, but RLHF is what creates behavior. It's what curates that raw capability into the helpful, cooperative assistant we actually want to interact with. So let's bring this all home. The main character takeaway. Why does all of this technical detail actually matter? It matters because it helps us understand what these tools truly are. They aren't just a mirror reflecting the internet. They are a curated version of it. And this quote from the source material just says it perfectly. The internet gave these models their voice, but it was RLHF that taught them how to speak to us. And that leaves us with a fascinating, kind of trippy question for the future. We've successfully used human feedback to align these powerful systems. But as these models get even more advanced, the next frontier might be a strange recursive loop. Now that we've taught AI how to behave, can AI teach itself?